Hey, it's me, MLB. This is chapter 4 of Why You, Why Me, and it's titled Disconnected. The next day, you were back in your body again. Bakugo had nearly gotten you expelled, which was wonderful, not, and he had left you a charming reply under your message back to him in your notebook. He had asked, "Who the hell are you?" You had replied with, "I'm Yin Lin, who are you?" And he had responded with, "I'm Bakugou Katsuki. Why have I ended up in a useless, quirkless extra's body?" Such an endearing response. You rolled your eyes. This idiot needs to be taken down a peg or two, you thought. You wondered if he'd gotten your note that you'd left him in his phone. You didn't have to wonder too long, because the very next day you were back in his body again. You checked notes in his phone first thing in the morning, and there was his reply. "What the hell are you doing telling shitty hair and dunce face about us swapping? It's embarrassing, okay? Don't you dare make friends with anyone in my body. Don't even smile with my face. Understand, you useless girl? I'll blow your face off otherwise. And don't you dare look down my pants." You'd been reading his reply angrily, but cracked a smile at the last line. What an idiot. That day at school, you noticed one of the girls in the class, Uraraka, had bought a new lip gloss. Forgetting who you were momentarily, you approached her. "Oh my god, is that the new MAC lip gloss?" Her jaw dropped. You froze. I mean, ugly ass lip gloss you got there, you growled. She narrowed her eyes at you and stared you down. You returned her stare and stood motionless. Kirishima saw what happened and slid in to pull you away quickly, making a hurried apology/excuse to Uraraka about you being unwell, and dragged you off down the hall. She was quite rightly confused and suspicious and kept an eye on you all afternoon. You had to keep to standard and pay extra close attention to your words and actions that day. The body swapping every second day went on for close to 9 months, and your routines got smoother and smoother. It was just like living a double life, except you had to play the part of someone else in the second life, and their mannerisms had already been established. You were doing a mighty fine job by now on your Bakugo days, and your control of his quirk was getting better and better. A lot of his quirk control was inbuilt, hardwired. Sometimes you felt his body move on its own, which was bizarre and cool at the same time. He hated your life. He told you often in your messages to each other in the notes section of his phone. He hated being quirkless and useless, inverted commas. He hated how flat-chested, inverted commas, you were, and so you retaliated by saying he had a small penis, which he definitely didn't. You'd already seen it a few times, by accident. Okay, maybe not by accident. He had threatened the life of your sisters and had terrorized your family, but weirdly enough, you were growing to like this explosive disgrace of a human. Kirishima and Kaminari were a big help to you, and you always mentioned them in your notes to Bakugo, telling him to treat them nicer because they deserved it. He said that he didn't. You weren't surprised. One afternoon, you were with your family at the park having a picnic. It was a lovely sunny afternoon, and you were back in your own body, which was always great. Your younger sister Mika had bought a frisbee to play with, and you and her were tossing it back and forth. She threw it hard and it flew towards the road, so you ran after it as fast as you could and jumped up to grab it, not realising how far you had jumped into the line of the oncoming traffic. A truck collected you as it came down the road and knocked you flying. When you finally came to a stop, you didn't move. The terrified screams of your family members filled the air, and an ambulance was called to take you to hospital. You died 3 times on your way there, but they managed to revive you each time and kept you alive. The next 3 months were hell for you, as you underwent test after test. You were placed in medical comas every so often so that they could watch your brain activity, and you'd wake up with a significant amount of amnesia. The body swaps stopped happening. When you were finally discharged from the hospital, you tried to resume a normal life, but something just felt wrong. Something was missing, but you couldn't put your finger on it. Your grandma noticed you going deep into thought every now and again, and kept an eye on you. She knew something was off, and she thought she knew how to fix it, but now wasn't the right time, so she waited patiently. You started developing seizures, and your concerned parents took you to a doctor who referred you to a specialist in the city. Your whole family had to move for your sake, which they did happily. The specialist ran some tests on you, and he seemed surprised by the results that came back. "Yin, I'm going to ask you a very strange question, and I want you to answer me truthfully," the kindly specialist said, leaning against the desk in his white lab coat. "Have you ever had anything like an out-of-body experience, or that you felt like you were someone else?" You frowned in thought and pondered a bit before replying. "No, sir, I don't think I have." He looked at you curiously. Okay, I'm only asking because there are parts of someone else's DNA mixed in with yours. You looked at him in surprise. What? I know it sounds crazy, but this phenomenon, albeit strange, wasn't exactly uncommon and used to happen frequently around 80 years ago. It was thought that this was some kind of genetic mutation that would bring soulmates together, and in most cases it did. He smiled. This still happens these days too, but it's a little more rare. And there ends chapter 4. Stay tuned for chapter 5.